Salve, oggi parleremo di un tempo verbale particolare che è il present continuous. Particolare e particolarmente difficoltoso per noi perché essendo madrelingua italiani lo utilizziamo in maniera completamente diversa. We start with the present, writing present continuous. Okay. How do I make a present continuous sentence? I use the subject. The subject may be a personal pronoun. Or it can be a name, common name, or it can be a personal name. Okay, so I can have as a subject we, or my friend, or Mark and Helen. Okay, so I can have a personal pronoun, a name, or a personal name or personal names. Then I use the verb to be. To be, it can be is, or it can be am, or it can be are. Okay, it depends on the person. So we are, my friend is, Mark and Ellen are, I am. And we finally use, let me make it bigger. Okay. And we finally use the verb ending with ing, I-N-G, okay, in the ing form. So, for example, if I have work, I add an ing and it becomes working. If I have play, it becomes playing, okay. Remember that for the spelling, we have particular rules and we have to study the specific rules to decide what to do at the end of a verb. Anyhow, this is the structure of our sentence. So we can say that, okay, let's have a new board. So we can say that I can make a sentence of the present continuous saying, for example, we are reading a book. Okay, so we have, for example, the verb to be, the subject, and the verb at the ing form. Okay, and of course the rest of the sentence. But what is particularly difficult in the present continuous? To know when we have to use the present continuous or the simple present we have already studied. Let's have a look at these examples I've made for you. In Italian, we have a different approach, a different use of simple present. Per esempio, se io conosco una nuova ragazza e le domando tu cosa fai? La sua risposta sarà sono al primo anno di liceo. Se vostra madre entra nella stanza e vi chiede cosa fai? Potreste rispondere studio storia, potreste rispondere sto studiando storia. Quindi vedete che abbiamo la stessa esatta domanda, tu cosa fai? Cosa fai? Tu cosa fai? ma una risposta completamente diversa. In questa prima risposta io mi riferisco a cosa faccio nella vita, alla mia routine quotidiana, alla consuetudine. In questa seconda risposta, e ovviamente anche sottinteso nella domanda, io mi riferisco a qualcosa che sto facendo proprio in questo momento. Let's see what happens in English. Okay. Imagine that you meet a new girl and you ask her, "What do you do?" She will probably answer, "I am a student." But if your mother enters your room and asks, "What are you doing?" you will probably answer, "I'm studying," or "I'm watching a film," or "I'm chatting." Two different answers, okay? Two different answers to two different questions, because in these question I use, which is the tense, it is the present simple. Why do I use the present simple? Because I refer to your habit. What do you do in your life? Which is your activity, your everyday activity. In these other question and answer, what do I want to do? Your present activity. So I use the present continuous. Okay. Right. So we can easily say that present simple is used to talk about habitual actions, something I normally do. Present continuous is something I'm doing right now. Present simple is something I always do. Okay, so this distinction is really important, particularly because it is particularly important to understand this difference. Because, for example, if I think, because you know that you use English to talk and to express your ideas, your, you could say, your thought, okay? If I have to say that in my life I normally play basket, or I normally watch TV every afternoon, or I normally have lunch at 2 o'clock, I have to use the present simple because I'm talking about something I normally do every day, not right now, or better, also right now, but in general, I do something. So I say, for example, I live in Guidonia. It is something I do every day. My stable residence is in here, in this town. So I say, I live in Guidonia. You work in a bank, or my daughter is a student. Okay, so you see that I use the present simple. You work. My daughter is. Okay, so it is different. It is different from the present continuous. While if I have to talk about something, okay, something I'm doing right now, I use a different tense. So I say, I'm writing on the board. Or she's watching a movie. Or me and my students are speaking English. So you see that it is something we are doing right now. Okay, not normally, not every day, but right now is watching. Okay, me and my students are speaking English. Okay, right now in this moment, and not always, not as a routine. Now let's see what happens when I use, or if I use the present continuous in an interrogative sentence or in a negative sentence. You remember that the verb to be is a very important verb, and it doesn't accept any auxiliary verb. Okay, so any auxiliary verbs with to be. So if you remember, if I have to make a question with a verb to be, I say are you. I don't say do you are. Okay, so are you, etc., etc. Are they, etc., etc. Am I, etc., etc. Okay, so in the present continuous, we have the verb to be. So we don't have to use the auxiliary verbs anymore. And how do we make an interrogative sentence, an interrogative, question, a question? How do we make a question? We start from we are writing a mail. Okay, what do? I change the position of the verb to be, and I put in first position, and is are. So it changes in are we writing, etc., etc. If we have, so we change the position to the verb to be and the subject. If we have Tony is helping mom, okay, I make a question and it becomes is Tony helping mom? Okay, let's see what happens with a negative. It is very, very similar. So in a negative sentence, I don't need no auxiliary verbs, because I say they are driving fast. It is changed into they are not. Quindi they are not driving fast. Okay, so we introduce here not, okay, and it is changed into a negative sentence. Let's see the interrogative sentence, because we may also use non stai scrivendo una mail, ok? Interrogative, dash, negative. Non stai parlando con, etc., etc. Okay, we can also make a question. It's very common. What do I do? Okay, I start from the affirmative sentence or from the negative. For example, are you talking on oath? On the phone? Are you talking on the phone? Okay, it is changed into are not, aren't. Aren't you talking, etc., etc., on the phone? Aren't they speaking with the teacher? Aren't you listening to the radio? Isn't she reading a mail? Okay, so it is really simple but very effective. What is important to do is, so first of all, which are the tips for these tense? Okay, students often, very often use the present continuous omitting be, okay, the verb to be. So I often find sentences like they playing. Okay, this is extremely incorrect. So it is a serious mistake if you forget to say they are. Are is fundamental, because it is like saying in Italian loro giocando a pallone. Loro stanno, so the role that are plays is stanno. Okay, so you cannot say that loro giocando, loro stanno, they are playing. She reading. Okay, if you omit is a serious mistake, because she is means sta leggendo. You cannot say in Italian lei leggendo. Okay, so remember, first of all, the verb to be, and pay attention to the final ing. Okay, one of the commonest mistakes is play. I change play as there is a vocal before the Y. I say, some of the students say playing. Okay, they change Y into I. It is a serious mistake again, because it is when you use the ing form, you don't have to care about the Y. Okay, it means that even if there's the Y, you add an ing. Okay, You don't have to change. Never wonder, do I have to change it or not? Never wonder. You have to let it there. So Y remains and you just add ing. Okay? I think that's all for the moment. If you need my help, you can also send me a message.